chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone, so tell all your friends to tune in to the
Good evening,
show.
Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
It's just something about, hearing that voice of Mr. Berman Scott. And I don't know about you, but I like a live band, and especially when it's your locals that are performing. Welcome, welcome. Yes. It's Friday. It's OMG Free Flow Friday right here on the Sabrina Speaks platform as we usher and look forward to a long weekend. This is the last long weekend officially before November. Maybe one may sneak in October. We'll get into that because it's Free Flow Fridays here, and anything goes on a Friday. But welcome to our friends and family near and far. It's good to have you here with us for another exciting, hopefully informative discussion here, where voices of the islands and the conversations that we have are not only limited to here, because they're conversations of the world, and the podcast where your voices rise. See? Approval. That's thunder. If you heard that, yes, your voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm your host, Sabrina, and we're broadcasting from the Cayman Islands every Monday to Friday. This is a 2-hour live stream. Yes, live from 5, and we go until 7. And yes, I'm going to get out of here like a bat out of hell so that I could just immerse myself on all of this weekend's activities, including taking in a few matches. So for all of you couch potatoes, and there's a big match that is coming up. But you know how we do it right here on a Friday, where some of you are easing into the weekend. Some of you may be just on boarding a plane. Hopefully you get on in case it's raining. We're not fortunate to have shoots here in the Cayman Islands, but if you're traveling this weekend, I wish you safe travels. It is summer and lots of you are traveling, but whatever you're doing right here, right now, the mere fact that you're logged on, you're tuned in, I want to let you know how much I appreciate you taking your time out, even if it's to listen to me as you go about doing whatever it is you're doing, getting ready to go out, whatever it is. The mere fact that you're locked on right now live, I appreciate you. And for all of you who just do it because you're going to be playing catch up, I appreciate that too. Yes, you all matter, whether you do it in real time or you come on and log on to this stream after the fact. Let me tell you, the love we got for you over here is endless. But yes, as I said, it is Free Flow Friday here on Sabrina Speaks, where anything goes and the mic is yours. Yes, because we're easing into this long weekend with good energy and open conversation. Pretty much what comes to your mind. Yes, it is here. So you're welcome, and feel free to call in, drop a comment, drop it into a WhatsApp chat. That's fine as well. We're here for it today. So let's unwind, connect, kick back into the weekend, however you choose to do it, a Caymanian style. But before we go into that, I got to remind you that the views expressed by callers, guests, and online commenters are their own and not those of Bridge Media Limited and its affiliates or Sabrina Speaks Show not even the host. This program is for general information only and not a substitute for legal, medical, financial, or professional advice. All participants are reminded to speak responsibly and respectfully, and any content that is defamatory, discriminatory, unlawful, or harmful is strictly prohibited and will not be endorsed or tolerated. Listener participation implies acceptance of this disclaimer. The number to join in live if you want to call me or you want to send me a WhatsApp is 345-936-8255. We love your participation. But, we got some of you who don't want to talk. You prefer to send a WhatsApp or you prefer to comment on whatever platform you're streaming us live on. We make sure we cover you as well. Please make sure to continue to like, follow, and share the page with your friends. So one, you're always notified, and two, you never miss an episode. As we continue, oh dear Jesus, he strikes again, Connie. Bonononos, he strikes again. As we continue to build this space here, one episode at a time, and we love you being a part of it. But with all of those rumblings that I'm hearing outside, let's take a look at what's in the weather forecast for this evening and looking a little bit into the future for the weekend ahead. That's compliments of our friends there, the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Here's your forecast for tonight and into tomorrow. The synopsis is calling for isolated thunder showers occurring today as the upper level trough continues to linger over the Northwest Caribbean. Now, similar weather conditions are forecasted during the next 24 hours as the low level trough continues to enhance moisture at the surface. In addition, a gentle breeze will continue due to the weak pressure gradient, and seas will be slight to moderate in open waters. The forecast for tonight is calling for mostly cloudy with a 40% chance of showers and thunder. They've already started. Temperatures will fall to the low 80 degrees Fahrenheit and winds will be east 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. The forecast for tomorrow is calling for partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with a 40% chance of showers and thunder. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s with a heat index of near 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, winds will be east 5 to 10 knots and seas will be slight with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. There will be a low tide. Yeah, that's going to happen in a matter of minutes. That's at 5:14 this evening. A high tide at 12:06 tomorrow morning, and another low is expected at 5:50. There will be a sunset this evening at 7:06 and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 5:53. And the outlook is calling for a gradual increase in the chance of thunder showers from Sunday evening as a tropical wave approaches the Cayman area. Now, there you have it. That is your weather forecast, compliments of the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. And should anything change, we always encourage you to stay tuned and keep updated, be informed by your local media services. Oh, you troublemaker, you, I see them orchids that you laid there for me. Connie knows that you're out to trouble. I'm going to be more than happy to display your orchids in a few minutes. Let's get the news out of the way as we continue to ease on into this Free Flow Friday, thanks to you, Trouble. But yes, let's start off with our local news here on the Sabrina Speaks for this evening, Friday, July 3rd. We see where Monday, as I stated, is July 6th, and the Cayman Islands will celebrate Constitution Day. And our Attorney General, Honorable Samuel Bulgin, KCJP, says the Cayman Islands Constitution continues to operate as it was carefully designed when it came into force 17 years ago. Now, he highlighted the Bill of Rights as one of the most significant features, noting that court cases over the years have shown it protects all individuals and guides public officials in exercising their powers. Now, the Constitution, he said, remains vital in safeguarding good governance, clarifying the relationship between the state and the individual, also promoting accountability in public life. We see where the governor of the Cayman Islands says it was a pleasure to join UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper and Cayman's representative at the UK, Dr. Tasha Ebanks Garcia, at the Foreign Secretary's summer reception earlier this week. Now, officials note that events like this help shape Cayman Islands' perspectives are included in high-level discussions within the UK government. Now, they also provide opportunities to strengthen relationships and highlight many ways the Cayman Islands and the United Kingdom continues to work together. In another local news this afternoon here on the Sabrina Speaks, we see where a new chapter has begun at Customs and Border Control. Yes, as Director Marlon Bodden met with senior members and senior management team earlier this week, joined by outgoing Director Bruce Smith. Now, officials says the meeting marks an important leadership transition forced on continuity, collaboration, and service excellence. The organization has extended its appreciation to Mr. Smith for his dedicated leadership and contributions during his tenure. The team says it looks forward to working together as CBC continues to strengthen its operation and delivering high-quality public service. The Deputy Governor's 5K Challenge has set a new milestone. At a recognition reception at the National Gallery on July 2nd, Deputy Governor Honorable Franz Manderson announced that the 2026 event raised a record $120,000. Now, proceeds will support Special Olympics Cayman Islands athletes preparing for the 2027 World Games, Jasmine Palliative and Hospice Care, and the Cayman Islands Breast Cancer Foundation. Now, this year saw 3,290 registrants across all three islands, with nearly 2,000 finishing in Grand Cayman in Mr. Manderson's final run as Deputy Governor. The Cayman Islands Postal Service is alerting the public of a fraudulent text message claiming a parcel cannot be delivered until custom duties are paid. Now, officials confirm the message is a scam and urge residents not to click on the link or make any payments. Now, the link is not connected to the Postal Service or any government entity, and one person has already lost a significant amount of money. Now, anyone who receives the message should delete it, contact their bank if they engaged with it, and alert the incident to RCIPS at 949-4222 or 911 in an emergency. As we wrap up the local segment of the news here this evening, we focus our attention on, yes, the Cayman Islands' new appointment. That appointment is a new magistrate of summary court. Now, His Excellency, the Acting Governor, Franz Manderson, has announced the appointment of His Honor, Mr. Dwayne Murray, following an open recruitment process led by the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. 10 candidates were shortlisted and interviewed before Mr. Murray was recommended and formally accepted by Governor Jane Owen. With 8 years of judicial experience in Trinidad and Tobago, he has been welcomed by the Chief Justice as a strong addition to the magistracy. Mr. Murray was officially sworn in on June 30th, 2026. We now turn our attention to what news is making regional headlines this evening. We see where Dominica, yes, we're going all the way there. Dominica's Prime Minister, Roosevelt Scarrett, says he hopes the United States will reconsider visa restrictions affecting Dominican nationals at the nearest opportunity. Now, the policy stems from a December 2025 executive order issued by U.S. President Donald Trump, which imposed new immigration restrictions on citizens of Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, and Haiti. Scarrett says the measures have created real challenges for ordinary people and believes Washington should review them as soon as possible. Out of Jamaica this afternoon, we see Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says that despite ongoing public complaints about service issues at the National Water Commission, the utility provider is no longer considered a fiscal risk. He delivered the assessment at the Commission's Service Excellence Award Gala held yesterday evening at National Indoor Sports Center in Kingston. The Prime Minister noted improvements in the NWC's financial stability and operational performance, even as concerns continue about reliability and customer service. We also see out of Antigua and Barbuda this evening because they say they will table a white paper in Parliament outlining its positions on the United States proposal to send certain third-party nationals to the Twin Island state. Now, officials says the document will set out the government's assessment and guide public discussion on the matter. The move comes as Antigua and Barbuda continues to review the implications of the proposal and its potential impact on national policy and regional cooperation. Other news this afternoon, we see where our very own, let me grab the image here, just bear with me 1 second. Whoa. Okay, we're going international now as we wrap up this section. It is only one more to go. Yeah, we got it. When you produce and deliver at the same time. Calling on America to recommit to its founding principles of unity and peace, home and abroad, Pope Leo has accepted the Liberty Medal virtually during a ceremony at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. In his remark, the Pope underscored the importance of national cohesion and global responsibility, highlighting the role the United States plays in promoting peace. Now, the Liberty Medal is awarded to individuals who demonstrate leadership in advancing freedom and human rights. The U.S. Treasury Secretary says Americans can feel the strain of higher everyday costs even as the stock market remains strong. Speaking with CBS News, Secretary Scott Bessent noted that both realities can coexist. He says that the stock market lives in the future, signaling confidence that the country will get through the current period of high rates. Bessent added that interest rates are expected to come down, therefore allowing Americans to see real wage gains in the end. And tonight, all the markets were closed today because of the 4th of July holiday, but we're not short of football roundup because we see FIFA World Cup knockout action continues. And at 3 o'clock this evening, yes, these are all Cayman times, we saw where Argentina faced off Cape Verde at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. That's followed by Colombia versus Ghana at 6:30 Cayman time and at the Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Looking into the weekend, Canada meets Morocco on Saturday at 10 a.m., all Cayman time in Houston, and Paraguay takes on France at 2 p.m. in Philadelphia. On Sunday, yes, Sunday, Brazil plays Norway at 1 p.m., followed by Mexico versus England at 5 p.m. Cayman time. So for all of you who are doing the brunch, I can see you stopping at some waterhole if you're even going to do brunch at all. What if you're lighting up the grill? Please make sure you got somebody watching it for you so you don't burn everything. That concludes our news segment and your business wrap-up report for here this evening on the Sabrina Speaks platform. It's so good to have you all joining us this afternoon. Good evening, one and all, and welcome. It's good to have you here with me today. I want to take this opportunity, you know how it goes, for all of you constitutional babies and U.S. Independence babies. Happy birthday today. If you're celebrating a birthday, you're just celebrating life, whatever it is you're celebrating. We are wishing you happy birthday today and many, many more, hoping that you had a splendid day and looking forward into the weekend that is geared up to have lots of stuff going on, from walkathons to eating your heart out with mangoes, which we'll tell you. But we celebrate you. We will celebrate you right now. From all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks, we wish you happy birthday. And for all of you who are celebrating wedding anniversaries, We see you. We remember you too. Happy anniversary and all the best. Many, many more to come. And wishing you lots of love and continued little bickering that makes your relationship stronger. It's real. It's real. It real. It's so real. It comes with the territory. You know what? But you've made it. Happy anniversary and wishing you many, many more from all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks family. Yes, yes, yes. We know that there are a number of you that are mourning the loss of a loved one. Some of you are laying your loved ones to rest this weekend. We want you to know that our thoughts and prayers go out with all of you as you navigate this time. We know it's difficult. Don't let anybody tell you how to mourn. Didn't come with a blueprint. We just letting you know that our thoughts and prayers are with you as they always are. And when the community lose an individual, everybody feels it. Yeah. So our thoughts and prayers go out to all of you. Well, as we go into the weekend, you know what it is? Yes, Mango Fest is tomorrow. I want to get some pictures, hoping to see some pictures of that dinner and how that went. How the dinner went last night. Is it Catalina? Catalina? Yeah, hoping that was well attended. And and that you're all gearing up for tomorrow. Now, we know that there is rain in the forecast, but we're still going to make sure. I'm understanding that there's over 45 vendors that are going to be planning to go out. And the entire town is going to be on the portions of Harbor Drive there are going to be blocked off. So we want to make sure that if you're traversing through town tomorrow, that you're cognizant of that. And you may want to adjust your movements in and around Georgetown, especially that little loop there by our National Museum. Lots of vendors are going to be out, mango eating competition, lots of stuff. Just go. It's free. It's free. And all of the stuff that is going to be planned for this event. And you know what? Because of the time of the day that's happening, maybe you want to get up really early and go do this charity 5K run walk. And then you go to that event and then you run it off and then you go put it back on because it's summer. You can get away with it. But yes, there's a charity 5K run and walk that's taking place tomorrow at Safe Haven Drive. Registration kicks off at 5:45 and the race is going to start at 6:30 a.m. So you've got to let you know about this just in case you wanted to attend this event. You can go. It is a run walk. So if you're like me and you can't run all the time, they're including you. So you don't have to be these long sprinters. No, not at all. And Polished. Yeah. Polished Presence Consulting. Remember this? The deadline for registration is July 17th. So it's not late. Please scan the QR code to get that Polished Presence Etiquette Week of 2026. And Melanie is just waiting for all of you. And I was out and about today and a couple people reached out to me and they were saying how they enjoyed that interview, the discussion, and some of the things that they learned just in the discussion. They were like, girl, as old as I am, I didn't realize that. Well, that's what we're here about. We're here to teach you and we can all learn something. That's how it goes. Donnie is in the house. Good evening, my sweet. How are you? Happy Friday to you. And Connie Bonnie is here. Connie Bonnie's name now is Bunanunas. Yeah, she's the Bunanunas. That's an inside joke. Yep, she's also here. Log in, but good evening, Auntie. I'm logged on, but I'm not here. Okay, gotcha. I gotcha. Thank you. My side playing now, so ta-ta. Okay, good. That's fine. That's fine. We love you anyhow. That's not a problem. And you shared some beautiful images with us today. Connie Bonnie did. Oh, this was Dawn's flower today. That's a new bloom that she has. These are so pretty. Thank you, Donnie. They are gorgeous. I know they must be loving the rain. Better make good of it. Better make good of it. And then Connie shared us a whole thing of orchids line up here. And look at this. Look at this. She's bringing positive energy because now she has a water fountain as well to enhance her space. That must be so relaxing. I have a thing with water and clocks. I think I've told you guys this. So for me, even though I'm scared of frogs, like stuff like that, I just have a thing with water, just sitting down, watching water, anything close to the sea, ocean view, that sort of stuff. There's just something that it calms me. And any water features like this, Connie, you win me. You win me over. Yeah, and we got Damian Henry as well. It's what, 11:26 in the UK over there. And he's staying up late with us tonight. Early morning for you, and we appreciate you always sharing words of encouragement and wisdom. I'm just uploading some other images because my content creators in bloom has actually blossomed into content creators of the palette. So let me just get over Damien here for a minute and hear what he has to say here on this Friday. He's saying, happy Friday, all. Big happy. Being happy never goes out of style because happiness is a timeless quality that shines brighter than any trend or fashion. While styles, technology, and lifestyles change over time, a positive attitude, genuine smile, and joyful spirit remains universally admired. Now, true happiness brings confidence, attracts positive energy, and helps us enjoy life to the fullest, making it something that will always be valued regardless of the era. Oi, Damien, you better try make sure you remembering some of these things because not getting into your business too much, but you got some real good lyrics here. Melt a lady's heart. Not getting into your business, not 1 minute. But yeah, you better know how to use some of these lines, my friend. Thank you so much, nevertheless. And look at who is here. Yay! Look at her. Somebody showing me their dinner. I see in somebody's dinner. I gotta get back to this because you know who's making trouble. Punanonis, you know who making trouble, right? Alfred Real is here. Hello, Auntie Sabrina. He's asking me if I like his orchids. Now look at what this brute has sent me. This is his orchids for the day. Look at the trouble, Alfred. I think I know. I recognize this very much. I know exactly where you are this evening. So, and this is what he has given us as his orchids for today. And look at that. Look at you. Look at you too. Look. So that's your app. That's your appetizer. Yeah. Or that's a part of this box. No, that's your app, looks like, or you're stealing that out of somebody else's plate. Well, thank you for the beautiful, you just teasing everybody here today. This is where he's having, I'm guessing, taking it a good happy hour, kicking off this Constitution weekend here in the Cayman Islands. And that is that Asian restaurant. I don't remember the name, on Waterfront, where Fish Shack used to be. Yes, right on the waterfront. That is where this is from. Now, if I got it right, please let me know. I remember that. Yeah. And they're always full. You're advised to make reservation. And yeah, I did lunch there and the food is delicious. Sandra pulled me out of my hole one day and we showed up there and I was very, very impressed. And I know that this is one of her favorite hangouts. So yeah, that's what that brute is doing this evening. So some people got those kind of orchids for dinner. And then we go back to reality because then I got some others that just keep it real. This is what some people are having for dinner. So you know what? If I had to choose, it would be hard right now to choose between the two, only because I'm limited with how much of these bad boys I can eat, these mangas that I can eat, but I'm quite sure I could put a good hole into this. So Alfred really won me here. Yeah, he's won me over here big time. And Yeah, Bonadonis is having mangas. Yes, for her dinner. That's what she says. So thank you so much for keeping us informed, engaged, inspired with all of these tantalizing meals. But Alfred, you've been on a run, man. You've been just killing us, man, with all of these dishes. Well, the phone lines are open today. I'm just letting you know this. It is Free Flow Fridays. There could be something bothering you, something just nagging you. We could recap if there's anything that I covered over the week. I know, something about this advertisement that I heard Miss Sandra talking about this morning. I got hit with it because people at the gas station, number one, number two, even another store that I went to earlier on, I got stopped by two different persons asking for clarity on this advertisement and just general conversations in regards to applications for WORC. But the question that kept coming up is some sort of confusion with the advertisement. So we'll go a little bit into that, and I'll share. If you didn't know, and everybody's looking at 4th of July, more looking at the U.S. side of things. We got our own constitution here, and that's why the message from our own Attorney General, Mr. Sam Bolgen, it is significant for us. So we're just not mimicking a US holiday. We have our own significance here. I will let you know what that's all about. But let's continue to acknowledge all of you who take the time to log on to the live, jump onto the live. Not only that, but you participate as well. And it keeps me going. It keeps us laughing. And I know a lot of you like the foolishness in this section. You know, I know because you tell me, and I can see by the feedback. Look at here, North Carolina. Oh, they look good. Where's this at, my friend? I'm getting it in. Everybody's out this evening. 4th of July weekend. I can understand North Carolina love being out there. If you don't know who North Carolina love is, that's Marshall. He is showing off what he has in the front of him today, too. Everybody's out, leaving me. I have to just delay everything until after I log off here. And yeah, I'm going to hit the asphalt tonight. I'm going to hit the pavement tonight. Why not? Why not? Andrew's in the house with us. We got to get there to you, North Carolina love. He says, good evening and blessed Friday. Blessed Friday to you as well. Alfred Real strikes. He says, Auntie Sabrina, the Law Reform Commission papers seems to suggest that a man could decriminalize small amount of cannabis without fully legalizing a cannabis industry. But when it comes to young people, how do we strike the right balance? How do we stop ruining a young person's future with a criminal record while still making it very clear that cannabis is not harmless? While still making it very clear that cannabis is not harmless for teenagers and should not be normalized amongst the youth. Okay, well, these are two questions. Let me go back to those since it's free flow. Just let me just do the roll call. Okay, we'll come back to that. Barbara G, good evening. It's good for you to be here. Yes, North Carolina love. He's sharing his love with us, Marshall. Look. Marshall, where is this? Where is this? Tell me. You're in North Carolina. Look at you. Look at you in your fancy dancy cup too. Look at you. Them wings don't look bad. They look like they look like they're well done too. I mess with you. Thank you for sharing as you are about to celebrate independence of the United States. Slugging down a few, 3 or 4. Make sure. Be responsible now, North Carolina love. Miss Lucille as well, hailing us from the United Kingdom here this evening. She's saying, good evening, Sabrina. I'm here. Blessings always. Love you all. Same here as well. You see him, Nakani? Damien is laughing because of what I said about him having the lyrics and not getting into his business. You better use them. That's a fact. Argentina won. Oh, yes. Oh, see, we're getting the live football scores. Thank you so much, Connie, for letting us know. Messi. Messi something flipping world. Okay, Messi flipping world. Laugh out loud. And that advertisement is foolishness. Auntie, that advertisement is foolishness. I got caught in it. Took my Oh, the advertisement of the parcel post. Okay, now I'm getting it. Wi-Fi connect. Okay, yeah. Oh, you got caught. Oh no, my love. Oh my goodness, Connie. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you were the victim of that. Oh Lord. Mm-mm. Well, hope you're able to. That's going to be hard trying to get your monies back, right? Mm-mm. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I have this thing where even when the bank is legitimately trying to reach out to me, first of all, if I don't bank with a certain bank, this is from the bank. If I don't bank with a certain bank and I see an email coming from a bank that I don't bank with, I delete it. I don't even open it. I don't click on it. I don't do anything. I just delete. And if there is something from a bank that I do business with, I look at who's the sender. There are just certain things. And one thing I don't do is to provide any details or to send or authorize anything. So sometimes they call me and I'm like, I saw the email, but I wasn't sure. And they always end up cracking up, laughing. So it really helps to have a relationship manager and a good relationship with your relationship manager in your bank, so that in the event you see some of these things or you get an email from a financial institution that you are doing business with, that even if it's to send the individual a separate email asking if they sent an email or if they're aware of any emails being sent to you before actually opening the email that you may have questions for. So lots of times, trust me. And if they want to get your attention to make you know it's legit, they'll just block your account. Yeah. So that's the way of the world and how we're navigating now, my dear. But it is quite challenging when you have situations like this from the post office. And let's say you're in a business or that is expecting these parcel posts. You're just looking at getting your pieces, your parcels paid for and cleared. I can see somebody really getting caught with this based on the industry of work that you're in. So, oh my gosh, I feel sorry that happened to you, Connie, honestly. The Compass ad. Yeah. Okay, I realize what's happening now. There's a delay, but it all lines up anyhow, because we're going to go to that topic. And I can give you some good news since you say that. No, let me get to that segment first, because the Compass. I asked a general question to a high-ranking person earlier today about that. What happens when the mandatory requirement to advertise in a local printed media has dropped the ball that has then caused your application to be delayed? Where does that come in? Now, if you've gone online and you've done your online advertisement within the required time, but it's the printed media side that is having an issue, where do you draw the line there? I'm still waiting on an official response because there is an anomaly there. And there was also an incident where I received a total of 3 calls and 2 in-person conversations where, remember when they extended the deadline for advertisement before the law came into effect? So it would have helped businesses who had already paid for advertisement for the 14 days and not the 21 days. And the extension was, or the deadline was the 30th of June. When persons went on July 1st, let's say, or 2nd, to submit applications, those applications were rejected because they were being told at the WORC counter that the application itself also had to be in by the 30th of June, when all of the PR, all of the information around it was specifically targeted at the validity of the printed or the advertisement date, not expounded to say, and the application must be submitted on or before the 30th of June. And that created its own set of challenges because it's not like the application were then being submitted late or on the day of. It would have still met the threshold for submission on time. But because the advertisement now 14 days, not 21, and the application was submitted after the 30th of June, they were refused from being allowed to collect the application. So do you know what happened to that employer? That employer then was forced to stop that worker from working, which would then be ultimately slowing down them and the job site because it was a lead person in the organization. And they had to get conditioned to as a visitor so that they could then file the application, the advertisements over again. And because of that, it would now be extended by 3 weeks. A lot of persons were saying they were focusing on any communication coming out was focused specifically on the length and time period for the validity of the advertisement. A lot of the focus was paid on the advertising, 14 days versus 21 days. But it didn't also stress that the application itself had to have been submitted by the 30th of June. That has now caused additional issues. So my advice to anyone who may have found themselves in that problem is that you have the right to go back to WORC, explain and provide evidence where you have been returned or refrained from collecting those applications, even though they were submitted on time. But if you find yourself in that position, go back to WORC on Tuesday. I have been told that information now will be passed along because even though there weren't a lot of persons that fell in that position, there may be some that may have not been aware of or did not speak publicly. Go back to WORC and demonstrate where you fell within that gray area where you were turned back because you were unaware or it was not properly explained that the applications themselves would have had to be submitted on June 30th. And that should be hopefully resolved based on what feedback that I got. So yes, at the end of the day, a lot of you too are saying, as Connie is mentioning here, that when you go to this particular printed media, that they have been overwhelmed and the ads for the work permit now is being delayed because of the volume. I'm still waiting on official word as to how that is going to be addressed. You heard Sandra herself discussed it on the Cold Hard Truth this morning. And we're hoping that in short order that we will get some clarity around that, because it's not that people are not doing what they're supposed to do, but doing what they're supposed to do, they can't keep up with the volume. And then that is creating bottlenecks and delays, no fault of theirs, but they have registered on the online portal. But because the law has clearly stated that any application for vacancies must also be advertised in printed, I quote, printed media. That's where the problem is coming in, because obviously the printed media that is regarded as printed media, they're just overwhelmed at the amount and they just can't provide or deliver the level of service and quality of service that is not getting people in problems. So that is something we can look for hopefully earlier next week, that it will be resolved as quickly as we can. But as it is right now, since I'm on that, I wanted to do the Constitution thing first. This is what the latest thing that is on the WORC. Did I get it? Did I capture it? Yeah. This is the latest that they're saying now that is now in effect, that is on the WORC's portal. that it says before submitting a work permit grant, renewal, or annual amendment application, employers must advertise the vacancy for at least 21 consecutive calendar days in both required channels. Now, the both required channels is law. They can't, unless you qualify under those that don't have to advertise. What this is saying on their website is that before any employer can hire someone on a work permit, they must prove that they have tried properly to hire Caymanians first. And by putting them on these two channels, government has increased advertisement period so that Caymanians and even legal ordinarily resident people to get more time and more visibility to see these job openings and apply for them. So when you look at the guide around this means that, you know, the whole idea was to make sure, like they said, to give the visibility to the Caymanians and legal residents. Yeah. And it was hoping to also stop employers from rushing to hire overseas workers without giving locals a fair chance. Now, the 21-day advertisement requirement, it must, again, since we're here and having this conversation, it's for any new work permits, renewals, amendments. If you're going to change a job title or a job or whatever like that, any amendment has to be advertised. And changes of the job roles or the conditions would require an amendment that it would require this 21-day rule. And it must be on the WORC's electronic job portal. And for those of you, this may be your first time, this is the official government job site. Caymanians, RERC holders, those are persons who are spouses of Caymanians, that sort of stuff. RERC holders and residents can see all legally required job advertisements on this electronic government portal. And when it comes now to the a local printed newspaper, they're stressing this at this time. This is not online. The law is clear. It says printed, and employers must show proof that they've ran this now for 3 weeks, 3 consecutive weeks with at least one ad each week. So for 3 weeks. And again, you see why they're saying it. Now, what is clear is that they're not limiting employers from advertising it on, let's say, their company's website, their company's Instagram page, their website, their Facebook, LinkedIn pages. There's nothing that precludes them. There's nothing that stops them from advertising on any social media platform the same job. No, even with recruitment agencies and online job boards like LinkedIn, these do not replace the mandatory thing that is in law by actually putting it on a WORC and in the pre-printed media as defined by law. These are only additional outreaches that is also allowed, but 2 is mandatory, and that is the printed advertisement media and on the government website. So for those, there are some exceptions, but the exceptions are only for specific positions. And those exemptions, we went through those, and they are listed there on the WORC policy. And usually those roles where Caymanians don't have, or they're not sufficient qualified persons in supply, then of course these exemption, but you have to demonstrate that that is a shortage for true. And those would be the only ones under this exempted rule that would be given a waiver from this 21-day advertisement period. So we understand, and I can assure you WORC is aware of some of the complaints. Sandra has actually said it. I have spoken directly to an individual, and I know for sure, pointing out certain things that highlighted the way in which it was worded or explained is what's causing a lot of confusion. You have to constantly be on the website. This is not criticizing. This is just pointing out some of the flaws that is actually hampering a lot of Caymanian businesses. This is not anti anybody. This is not anti foreigner. This is people just trying to do as the law says. But it's going to take a little while, I guess, for the dust to settle. And the miscommunication or better communication and explanation is actually required. And the harsh reality is, we do not have enough Caymanians to fill every single role here in this country. That's the bottom line. That said, we're going to have to still make sure that we get the feedback, respect the feedback that is being received, because it is something that Caymanian-owned businesses and operation. I have had persons who are holding good positions in financial institutions, banks, have actually voiced their frustration with what they're experiencing. Yeah. So it's not just the little man. It's not just the micro person, even though some of the small and medium-sized businesses feel that they're the one that is being treated unfairly and harshly. And it seems as though the big companies are being rubber stamped. Now, I'm just letting you know the feedback that I'm getting. And I think that everybody's voice matters here, because like the example that I gave and that Connie is going through, based on the type of work that they're doing, a lot of these, two of the companies that spoke to me have deadlines that they have to meet based on the industry of work that they're doing. It's not that the company wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. It's just that the system now has caused additional hardship on them, that some of them have to lay people off, get them lingering around here as visitors until administrative errors or bottlenecks are sorted out. And legally, the people they can't work, which means they can't get paid. And it is just opening up too much room for mischievousness, or actually forcing the individuals to work outside conditions or even without a work permit. So I'm hoping that at the end of the day, that these feedbacks that is coming in, or what's being highlighted, will not be misread as criticism, because the few that is actually going through this are real. So even with legitimate applications going in, they're experiencing the same problem. And it's not going to take away the need or the desire for the work permits to be issued. The companies just need them. But what we're seeing right now is that they are being placed at a disadvantage. For once, it's the system that is actually causing some of the problems. And I'm hoping that in short order that we'll work out the kinks and people will understand, instead of persons having to stay home for maybe a month or so, or additional fees for express services of 1 year or renewals will have to be sought. No fault of the employer for putting anything late or needing to get a decision on their applications in an expeditious manner, but because of the process not meeting the needs. To me, I feel service is reciprocal, and you can put down the rules all you want. Do not send in any application that is incomplete without all of the proper application, because we just won't accept it. If there's missing information, don't accept it. But you see, when someone comes and they've checked every box and it's up to standard, and whatever is happening behind the scenes has put them at a disadvantage, to me, it should be reciprocal. And that's what people are saying. So it's not criticism. They're just looking that you've asked the public to keep abreast, because this is going to be evolving and continue to improve and continue to update, but it can't be one-sided. It has to be something where we all work together until all the kinks are ironed out, and some discretion should be used when you realize that, okay, yeah, we dropped the ball here, it's not pointing the fingers. To me, that's just being cooperative and understanding the needs of those persons who are willing to pay. They're willing to pay. Live Happy is with us this evening. Good evening with you. And you're saying, if I was that printed media, what I would do is print a magazine with all the job openings, a special supplication. They need to think more creatively. They could all call the magazine Jobs in Cayman. Great idea. Let's see if that'll come to fruition. But there are a number of now printed medias out there that are going to jump onto this. What's going to happen is that could be short-lived, because with the digital era that we're going into, I think that's going to have to broaden its horizon and have some standards for digital advertising. Bottom line, digital advertising is where we're going. Eventually, printed is going to be a joke. So it all depends. And this is not by any means being biased in any way, shape, or form. How much people? I do Forbes, I do the Times. When is the last time you really saw the whole thing where you just go and you pick up a newspaper? Everything is now being read online. You pay your subscription a couple cents a month. And that's where it's going. To me, it's faster. It's faster. We got a caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Good evening, Sabrina, and good evening to all your esteemed listeners. I would a lot of things on my mind, since, you know, this is celebrating the Constitution. Monday is Constitution Day.
Yes, it is.
So you know that the Constitution is supposed to be, of course, that document which reflects the desires, the aims, the values, and beliefs of everybody. And it's a good time, I think, to sort of like look at some of the things that have been happening in that line. But before I get to the Constitution proper, let me just say something about the Legal Services Bill.
Mm-hmm.
The Legal Services Bill, of course, it's been now brought fully into force. I think it came into force in tranches, like the first they did that, and then secondly, it's now fully in force, and they are licensing lawyers overseas who will be practicing Cayman law.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sabrina, some things I don't understand about Cayman, and one of them is this one. The way I remember this bill, how it began, was there were some people who were advising on Cayman law overseas. And I think it was Mr. Arden McLean, the Honorable Arden McLean. He raised an issue saying, well, how can people overseas be practicing Cayman law? And he, at his expense, I think with another member of parliament, they got advice from somebody overseas to say, is it illegal to do that overseas? And the advice was, of course, that it's not legal. You can't claim to know Cayman law when you are not here, you are not licensed. But rather than respond to that issue appropriately, which would have been to say, if you want legal advice from overseas, you should come to Cayman and either practice law or engage a local Cayman attorney to advise you. To me, that would have been the right thing to do, because then it would have ensured that people who have never really practiced law in the Cayman Islands, they can seek legal advice from local attorneys. Local attorneys would have made more money, and those would have included Caymanian attorneys. But rather than solving the problem that way, they decided, oh, let's just regularize it and let us now allow people overseas to practice Cayman law, which is a ridiculous way of dealing with a problem, because I don't think that when it was raised, the idea was just, can you regularize it? It was to say, let anybody who wants legal advice come to people in Cayman, the lawyers in Cayman who have practiced law in Cayman. But in the end, they ended up just regularizing something that is not right anyway. So that's the first thing. The second thing about that also is that, look, there are no eligibility requirements, really. Eligibility in the sense of that you will only license those attorneys who know something about Cayman law. There's nothing in there. Because it seems to me all that will happen is that if you are qualified in England, in Australia, New Zealand, then they can automatically license you. But how do you create a licensing system which is totally meaningless? If at least you were to say this will only apply to people who have practiced law in the Cayman Islands for 3 years or for 5 years and now are living overseas, then that would make sense, because you can then assume that they've got enough knowledge of the local situation. Or if you were to say, fine, we'll create an accrediting body, and that accrediting body will set some exams to ensure that everybody who practices Cayman law can understand some of the basics of Cayman law, that would have made sense. But you can't create a licensing regime which is totally bogus. I'm sorry, I have to say it's totally bogus, because you don't have to meet anything other than that you are qualified either in England or one of those recognized jurisdictions. And all they have done essentially is the local law firms have decided to say, well, we want our firms which are overseas to be the only ones allowed, because that's the other thing. You can't, like, if say you used to live in the Cayman Islands and then you go outside the Cayman Islands and you want to practice Cayman law from overseas, you can't do that unless you are associated with a local law firm. But again, why do they put that restriction in? There are some people in the UK who practiced Cayman law for 10, 15 years and now are living in the UK. Why don't you allow them to practice, even if they don't have a local Cayman firm? Okay, because that again, it just sort of like creates this monopoly. And then it was very interesting to read what Alva Saku, the Honorable Alva Saku, said when he was interviewed by one of the local papers. They asked him, they said, well, do you think that this will be effective? Because they have said, well, if you illegally practice Cayman law overseas, that's a criminal offense and you will be liable to penalties of 100,000 maximum, you know. So, I mean, the whole thing is a laugh. And so he was asked, well, but how are you going to get those people to prosecute them? Are you going to prosecute them that when they come to Cayman on a tourist visit and then you say, oh, you are the guy who's been practicing Cayman law? I mean, you have created a law which doesn't make sense at all, because even the enforcement, how are you going to enforce it?
But
even
sir,
if you go to the DPP.
Wasn't it put into place to protect our own local lawyers? Look at it. Look at it. Wasn't that put in place? I hear what you're saying. But wasn't it all about trying to protect our own local attorneys instead of diluting it so persons can still practice Cayman law overseas, therefore taking business away from the local market? Wasn't that the whole vision and intent and purpose behind it?
Well, I don't see how that could have been the intent. I mean, I don't see, well, usually when you do legislation like that, that's usually the intent. What you want to do is you prohibit that practice overseas, and then you say, if you want to practice Cayman law, use a Cayman lawyer who is licensed locally. Right. Okay. But if you say, well, it doesn't matter whether you've got special knowledge of Cayman law. If you are overseas and you are a British lawyer, you may never even have come to the Cayman Islands. Right. So long as you are qualified to practice law in the UK, you can ask for a license to practice law overseas, so long as you are associated
with a local company. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, in fact, what's going to happen is that those companies that already were practicing Cayman law with their partners overseas who were already doing it illegally, they have now just been regularized. I don't think that this will move anything in terms of in terms of bringing it locally. Yeah. So, but I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't think it makes sense. But I remember a lot of local lawyers fought against this. Okay, they really fought against it. But you see, in Cayman, the problem is that once the people who control the government have decided that this is going to happen. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen. Just like it happened with the environmental law. After negotiating for something like, I don't know, 10, 15 years on an environmental legislation, then it was passed. Within a year or two, they came back to say that this was wrongly done. And then they undid it. Why? Because the people who control the government said, no, we are not going to have this. And I think that's one fundamental problem I think I fight in Cayman with accountability. But the other thing I wanted to say about the Constitution specifically, Sabrina, is this. You see, 2009 was a very significant year in that it created a lot of institutions in the Constitution, which they are called institutions supporting democracy, as you are aware.
Mm-hmm.
The ombudsman, the ombudsman was upgraded really, from. It used to be, I think, two offices. There was a complaints commissioner who was, I think, John Epp at the time, the first one, and then there was Jennifer Dilbert, who was. She was an information commissioner, and then they combined the two. It became an ombudsman. And I think it has been very good, and the legislation is very good. But at the end of the day, in my view, there are institutions such as the Human Rights Act, which is totally ineffectual. I know that because I've tried to use it more than once. Every time you go there and you say that my rights have been violated, you give them all the law that you can, all the facts. So long as the person who they're investigating, they think that is too powerful, nothing happens. Anti-Corruption Commission is the same thing. I'm not saying that they don't do anything useful, but I don't think they are having that much impact. And yesterday or the day before, I spoke to you about one institution, one authority who was at least having an impact, the ombudsman, and now they want to get rid of the person because they didn't like some of the decisions. That's not right. But the other thing is, which requires reform, is the judiciary and the Judicial Commission. In Cayman, since that commission was put together, it was first established 2009 under the Constitution. Not one single judge has ever been disciplined. There has never been one public hearing, nothing. And what tends to happen is that because they have a right to dismiss cases without a hearing, so every time a hearing comes up, they just say, "Oh, this is frivolous. There's nothing here. There's frivolous. There's nothing here." Let me give you an example. In Ontario, we had a judge. I won't call his name because he's gone back to the bench now. What happened with this judge was he's a black judge. He used to be involved with the Canadian Association of Black Lawyers, of which I'm also a member. And some people came to him, they said, look, there's this youth who has been locked up in the system, and really something needs to happen to help that person. So as a judge, he went to see the Minister of Immigration. This was not a case he was handling himself and didn't even know this person. So he was just doing it totally different. So he went to the minister and tried to lobby for the young man and so on. Nothing improper done in terms of what he said or what he tried to get. But then later on, when it was known that he had gone to see the minister, they asked him, have you ever been to see the minister? And he swore an affidavit to say that he had never gone to see the minister. It turned out that actually he had gone to see the minister. For that alone, without any other suggestion of improper conduct, for just saying that he didn't see the minister when he had, they brought him before the Judicial Council. There was a hearing. It was online and it was public. And ultimately, they said, okay, they couldn't remove him from office because it was not the case he was doing, like I said. There was nothing really improper apart from the lie itself. And so they thought, well, they just warned him, be more careful. You are now a judge. You can't get involved in activism and so on. But the point I'm trying to mention is this. For something that was minor like that, there was transparency. The person was brought in public. And when he was exonerated, well, not exonerated, when they thought that it was not worth removing him, they did that. But in Cayman, it doesn't matter what you provide. They will never be able to discipline a judge. And the reason is because of the structure of it.
So
When
what
you
has
go
to
to the
be
judicial,
modernized in order to stop that? Because you do
yeah,
understand, unless you're in this area,
yeah,
what you are actually explaining, and it's because I
hmm
have some idea.
yes,
The repetition matters. But if people don't understand it until they're needing it to defend themselves or having to defend themselves, Mr. Balika,
hmm
it's as though we're going to have to do this type of education in short batches. Because how do you even tie in what we're
hmm
celebrating on Monday and
hmm
understanding the depth of the message of the Attorney General? When you have gone through the system, you're saying all of these things, you're pointing out
yeah,
certain things, but
yeah,
understanding where we're coming from as far back as 1959 to 2009, when we got this constitution order that laid
yeah,
out the Bill of Rights, the Constitution gave a legal framework and body for the Constitutional Commission, the Human Rights, the National Security Council, and this more autonomy for elected leaders as well. That was a huge, and you said it, you alluded to that in 2009,
yeah,
that was a big overhaul. I mean, we're
yeah,
celebrating, or we're hearing more about the United States
hmm
independence than we
yeah,
really even understanding and grasping the concept of what our Constitution Day means in everyday layman's term language. So, not
yeah,
to be in any means dismissive, because what you're saying has validity to it. But if the
hmm
masses are not understanding, because many people, unless you read into this thing, it's not an everyday
yeah,
conversation unless you need the very same constitution framework, one of those bodies,
hmm
to help defend you, to clear your name, save your reputation. You understand what I'm saying? That's when you understand
yeah,
the importance.
yeah. That's when you do. And while you're saying that, let me mention that today I saw Justice Henderson, Mr. Lemuel Hurlston, and the other support staff
Mm-hmm.
of the Constitutional Commission.
Yeah.
They were on OC's show, and then they talked about how they want to expand the understanding of the Constitution, do some pamphlets and those kinds of things. And I think that's a good thing. But I just find that, you see, in Cayman, there's not too much in terms of civic
There's not
activity
enough. There's not enough.
around that. There's not enough. And talking about educating people, whenever you are celebrating the Constitution, it is always a time to celebrate what you have achieved, but also what you want to achieve and where you are falling short.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, the judicial part is falling short, and I'll tell you in a number of areas. But let me talk about the Judicial Commission. What does the Judicial Commission do? The Judicial Commission was established in the Constitution, and it is supposed to help the governor choose judges. And since 2016, okay, in the 2009 Constitution, if you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to complain against any judge of the Grand Court or the Court of Appeal,
Mm-hmm.
you went to the Judicial Commission. That was the case in the 2009 Constitution.
Yeah.
But in 2016, they changed the Constitution so that if you want to complain against a judge of the Grand Court, you go to the Chief Justice.
Mm.
If you want to complain against a judge of the Court of Appeal, you go to the President of the Court of Appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, they killed the system, because
Ah.
there's no way you go to the Chief Justice, particularly in a small judiciary, to go and complain that somebody who probably they fraternize with over the weekend, play golf together and so forth, that the Chief Justice can ever do anything like to discipline the person. Now, the older system was a little bit better, because at least you went to the commission. The only problem is that, again, at the commission, the Chief Justice is a member, as well as the President of the Court. But the point I really want to make is this. The membership of the commission, at the moment, there are 7 members. Most of those are specified in the Constitution, like who is supposed to be a member. But some of them, like the Chief Justice, I don't think the Constitution says she has to be, but she is made a member because there's a certain
or her designate
category,
or something.
yeah, or something like that. So there are 7 members, if I remember correctly, and 4 of those are judges: Chief Justice, President of the Court of Appeal, President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, President of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, and 1 lawyer. So it's 4 judges and a lawyer. And then two members of the public, so-called members of the public, and these are significant people in the community.
Civil
I think at
society,
the moment, the chair
so you get balance.
civil society, yeah. So, but then you see, the problem is, do you expect that if you complain against a judge, the 4 judges who are there and 1 lawyer are going to be able to discipline that judge? No, because you are asking somebody who is a part of them to discipline them. The other 2, in my view, are totally almost irrelevant because they can always be voted by the others. And you know the way these things are for a small body like that, if you can be close to the judges, that's also nice. That is why in certain countries, for example, in the UK, way back, they used to have an ombudsman for the solicitors. Now, that system, they've abrogated it because it also showed it had some problems. And the reason they had an ombudsman to deal with issues of discipline was because they said, we do not want anybody who is a lawyer or was a lawyer, a retired lawyer, to be the ombudsman. One of the requirements that you should have nothing to do with the law, because they found that everywhere you go, I say people can regulate themselves because they've got an oath of office which is heavy and so on. It is total nonsense. We are all human beings. Because if you look at the United States Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court does not have a supervisory body where, for example, if you want to complain against a judge who is receiving gift, where you can go, report it, and then they have an inquiry. There isn't. There are such bodies for certain federal courts at a lower level, certain state courts, yes. In fact, there are even some YouTube videos where sometimes you complain against a judge, they bring a person before the court and they chastise him. And to me, this is an area in Cayman where there is need for reform. There is need for that body to have less people, less lawyers, less judges. At the very least, it must have half members of the public and half judges. That way, you can start really having some kind of semblance of balance of justice.
Balance.
Look at, for example, look at what I ran into. For example, I went to the commission, complained against a judge, and the commission said your case is frivolous and vexatious, and there's nothing in it. Although I had 3 or 4 decisions from the ombudsman saying that a lot of the things that I was saying were correct. But anyway, they said it was frivolous and vexatious. So when I went now for judicial review, where did I go to? I went to the Grand Court to seek judicial review against the commission. And who is in the Grand Court? It's the Chief Justice. Yeah. It's the Chief Justice, the same one who is a member there. And that's the one who recommended, when I complained, I said I want a judge who is from outside Cayman. They said, okay, we'll bring one. But who recommended it? It was the same Chief Justice who recommended that judge to come. And even the way he behaved, you could see that he was never really independent. And then now the case is finished at the Grand Court level. I took it to the Court of Appeal. They brought these judges from the UK because I insisted on it for them to listen to it. But again, they are appointed by the governor, and the president of the Court of Appeal, the boss of those people, was part of that decision. Do you see how it is the same people making the decision? That's why I've kept losing.
Okay.
Do you see? That's the way it is. And then let me close on this, Sabrina. Let me bring Sandra in terms of what she went through in one case. You remember the case when they charged her for blackmail.
Yeah, the freedom. Yeah, from media.
Yeah, they charged blackmail. I mean, the fact that she was even charged is one of the most, I will use the word disgusting. because, and the reason I will use disgusting is this: whenever you have a dispute, the court always encourage you. They tell you, you know what? If you are claiming $1 million, a lot of times you will not get $1 million. Maybe you get 400,000. So if you can just agree maybe on half a million, take the money, count your losses, and move on. Because usually when you go to court, you don't win everything, and people are usually told that. That's why mediation, for example, has become such a big deal, because people are saying it takes a lot of money and time for you to go to court. So sometimes, like in Cayman, of course, there's on the side at the court, they allow for mediation, particularly with divorce matters and so forth. So you see, so that is always encouraged. But in the case of Sandra, it was even more so, because the judge, from what I understand, the judge is the one who said, guys, I think you can agree on something here. Can you go and negotiate? If you can't agree, then we'll go to trial. Then it was because of that encouragement, according to what she said, then she made this offer. And then they said, no, you're blackmailing the person. And then they charged her. And then the judge did the right thing and acquitted her without going to the jury. And usually when that happens, there should be questions on the DPP. Why did you do this? Because, I mean, there is no way anybody can ever... This sounds like one of them Trump prosecutions. And yet, after she did that, after the judge acquitted her, then now she made a mistake. That is the judge. She said, well, the DPP has done nothing wrong. Now, she shouldn't have said that at all, for two reasons. One, it's not an issue she should have touched. But if she felt she had to say something, then she should have said, I don't understand why the DPP brought this charge. Instead, what does she say? She said there's nothing wrong that the DPP has done. Look, you have just made a decision which says that they have brought a frivolous charge. But why are you saying that they've done nothing wrong? But you know the reason? The reason is because she knows that could have, like the fact that the charge was frivolous, could have repercussions on the DPP. Let us imagine there's some disciplinary charges. They would take what she says. If she said that this was frivolous and it was wrong, the DPP shouldn't have done it, then they would use that. So instead, she says the opposite thing, which is not backed by facts, because she knows that might help the DPP. You see, this is what has happened also in my matter, right? My matter has ended.
I'm going to ask you to wrap up, because we got some other updates on some other stuff. You shared this earlier on as well. So we got a lot of the people that are hearing
I'll wrap up in 30 seconds. I'll wrap up in 30 seconds. Okay. And so they went out there, and instead of just deciding my matter and saying, okay, we've decided the matter, and now you can appeal it if you want, they made such disparaging remarks about me, about saying this is a waste of time and waste of time. And my answer to me is, if you didn't want to waste time, you should have just reprimanded the judge and we could have moved on. So these are some of the reforms that need to be done. Judges are also talking too much. They are pandering to the politicians sometimes when they are deciding cases. That's the point I wanted to make. Otherwise, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Have a good weekend.
Bye. You
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There we go. Welcome. We got some additional information. We got some sources close to the CMR platform and media in regards to this fraudulent text message where people were scammed. So sources close to the CMR family and media, we are going to be sharing some information with you. We got some, has just informed us and could provide a little bit more context for it that I'll be sharing here with you in regards to this. And I'll just be putting it up here for us to follow along, because what we're getting, it's in relation to this fraudulent, and we're hoping now that a lot of you are aware of this, and based on the information received, and I'm going to be quoting, thank you so much for your post. It is absolutely crazy. About 2 people we know so far have given their information. One confirmed of about 2,000 KYD. He was crying. It was so very sad. he was a small paying job and probably took a long to even save that amount. And they're saying out of there that in regards to this case, it was a very sophisticated attack on the department, hoping that it's resolved soon. And they're only using about 3 flow numbers so far to distribute the text. So it looks as though these numbers that are texting people are flow numbers. And round of messages went out this morning. So that's 1 round of messages went out this morning, Friday, and another run went out around 1 o'clock this afternoon. So if you're getting these text messages from these flow numbers around those times, please beware. Do not give your information. And that's what now the police are on it, and they're investigating and are in contact with the people who gave their information, because apparently there's more than one person who got it. We heard our very own big fan here of the Sabrina Speaks, Connie, has been one of those victims. And they're saying here, her sources are also saying that it's lucky they did not come to any of the company's phones. And the money, apparently, what is happening when they get access to your account is that the money is disappearing literally within minutes, and looks like they're taking different amounts until the account is just dry. Now, right now, it was a Butterfield account that they got into. So this is the latest information that we're getting, and sources close to CMR Newsroom has just shared that with us, that this is a very sophisticated, fraudulent thing that has happened. If you're getting text messages from 3 flow numbers for right now, but it could be other numbers, please, please, please do not give your information, because what's happening, it's very sophisticated. Once you give them this information, they're going into your account and they're drying you out. So right now, this is the latest information that we have coming out of this. We want to thank those for sharing that with us so that we can update you on the latest, and keep it locked and keep checking go ahead and follow the CMR WhatsApp channel for all of the latest details, updates as we become aware of this. And we will definitely be sharing it here with you all weekend. We know how we are with getting the news out there. And we make sure as we get it, we will also be sharing it with you right here. Also, another thing that is making big headlines here, and this story is up right now on Cayman Mall Road, is there has been a number of thefts of Honda motor vehicles that are going. And what they're feeling right now that's happening is that these vehicles are being stolen for parts. Yeah, they're being stolen for parts. So the police are investigating a series of vehicle thefts from early Thursday morning, where several Honda Civics and CRVs were stolen from in the Prospect and Windsor Park area. And they're thinking that these cars now are being scrapped. So we may or may not even find these vehicles, and that they're scrapped for parts. This is what investigators are declaring, that these are possibly being scrapped for parts and altering their appearance to avoid detection as stolen property. And the police has also believed that some of these vehicles may be used to facilitate other serious crimes, promoting a more robust targeted response in the days ahead. So this may be their way of stealing vehicles to, in the future, go and do commit crimes. So right now, the outstanding vehicles that are now missing is a 1995 blue Honda Civic, registration plate number 146658, a gray and brown Honda CRV, year and registration number at this time is unknown, but that is a gray and brown Honda CRV. There's also out is a 1996 gray Honda CRV, registration plate number 237548. And a 1997 silver Honda CRV, registration number 131145. So right now we have 4 of these Honda-made vehicles, three Honda CRVs and 1 Honda Civic. So it looks as though there's a great demand right now for these Honda vehicles. And police is saying that anyone with information or the whereabouts of these vehicles, if you've seen these vehicles anywhere, or just in these maybe makeshift yards or garage everywhere, you can always contact, call 911, or the anonymous tip line is also can submit through the RCIPS confidential tip line. That's 949-7777. That's the anonymous tip line, 949-7777. Or you can also via the RCIPS website or go through Crime Stoppers. So if you're out there, you own a Honda vehicle, you want to be on high alert with all that is happening right now out there. So yes. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Connie. Thank you for clearing that up. It was a fraudulent slip on me. She was referring to the Compass ad. So Connie was not scammed. Yes, so that was because of when I read the news and when her message came in, I thought it was there. So correction there for full disclosure there. Darlene is joining us. Good evening, everyone. Blessing is what she's saying. And Andrew here had a comment earlier on before that caller call. A lot of people are being made redundant. That this is going back to the advertisement. A lot of people are being made redundant. Work permit holders are having to hold on to their jobs for 2 years. No openings available, and some companies are downsizing. Look here. Until some of these things are put in place, you do not see the unintended consequences, okay? For years, people were saying the work permit system is really what's blocking us locals from getting jobs. They are blocking us, they're blocking us, they're blocking us. And if we cut the amount of work permits down, they're going to create more opportunities. The other thing was create the rollover system. That will allow me to, once they work out their time, I will get the job. The big question is, has it done what it was supposed to do? Has it created that appetite? Has everything that has been implemented thus far created the appetite that has yielded Caymanians into upward promotion, the high-ranking positions, gained them more job opportunities? I want us to really ponder on that question, because at the end of the day, we have an environment where we're service-based economy. And there are opportunities there. We're asking for innovation. We're asking you to see whether or not, Caymanian, you can create your own jobs. We got these incentives encouraging you to take out business, incorporate companies so that you can hire or become your own employer. But if the environment is against even that, it's like you're pushing against I don't even know what kind of door you would say that is. It's just getting that sweet spot. But what we can't take away is right now, the environment that we're building or that we're in right now, there is just more jobs than there are locals to fill them. And even Caymanian companies are being impacted by what the masses have said they wanted done where immigration reform is concerned. So you cannot say that this administration has not heed the call and tried to do something by modernizing immigration reform, by putting robust things in place to try and limit or deter frivolous work permits. There are still stories out there right now where persons are taking out trade and business license and do not have any work for people to do. There are people taking out trade and business license to employ their children, their loved ones, their partners, but do not have work to do. Yeah. So, and then there are legitimate companies who are really just trying to build their business, are going through the ringer of having to demonstrate, justify, which is fine. But this is where the innocent is suffering for the guilty. Then you ask the question, have we made it too easy for trade and business? At what point do the trade and business and the work permit board speak to each other? If you got this trade and business and you you can't demonstrate that this worker has work to do. Yeah. One of the big topics is the car wash companies now. They're popping up left, right, and center. Who's there to justify how much cars they clean? Who's to justify whether or not they're even cleaning and washing cars? Yet they're active work permits. Active work permits. Who's double checking and doing the background checks to see if the contracts that they have are even legitimate? Let me tell you something. It's going to take a hell of an enforcement in order to catch some of the unscrupulous people. But at the end of the day, we cannot dismiss the fact right now that the opportunities are there, but they're just a few who are using the system. In all honesty, call it ace a ace and a spade. They're just using it to help a friend or a family member. And those persons are here. They're either freelancing, they barely can pay their bills because there's just not legitimate work here for them to do. That's a fact. But obviously, they'd prefer to not be knocked from pillar to post because they have a family back where they're coming from, and it's probably still better than where they're coming from. But what it is doing, it is opening up a doorway for illegal activities, such as some of these stories that we're reporting on here, and burglaries, nefarious activities, the gambling houses and all that sort of stuff, the selling of everything in between and above and down bottom and everything. Yeah. It's creating that kind of environment. So this is going to take a collective effort, to be honest with you. When you hear workers actually complaining, I cannot survive here anymore because I have to pay for my own work permit. Then even if I don't pay for my work permit, I have to pay for my own pension. I have to pay 100% for my own medical. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, they still have to pay whoever's the holder of that work permit, the employer, if they get a job here or there, some amount. Yeah. That's the reality of what's happening in our community. So to say that we'll ever get it right, maybe we will never. No, every country right now is dealing with immigration reform. We're hearing what's happening in the UK. The United States, well, they got it just totally wrong. They just got it wrong. And this has been something that we have beaten for years. And yes, we have made a dent. We have made some strides. But the more we have amended our immigration legislation, the demand is still there. When you do the math, you get the statistics and saying Caymanian opportunities and this and that, we still do not have enough. We still do not have enough locals, Caymanians, to fill every single job. So there will still be a demand. There will still be a need for imported labor. That's just a fact. This has nothing to do with balancing a budget and all that sort of stuff, because we're going to have income, period. We're going to have revenue that is going to come in through the work permit system, through the PRC. People's going to get married. The conversation came up today again. Everywhere I go, it's like I cannot get rid of immigration for some weird reason. Everyone just comes speaking immigration. And the 20-year thing, or the new law that now for persons marrying Caymanians, right? They're like, Miss Sabrina, how is that going to stop frivolous marriages? I said, yeah, because it's longer to getting status. Miss, they have the right to work, right? Yes. You really think they're worried? They can go and probably run a business here, there, everywhere, even without a trade and business license? Yeah. It's not going to stop the frivolous marriages as long as you can hold it down and nobody squeal on you. Nobody squeals on you. So it's still happening. But the big cry out there is for the little man who genuinely, legitimately is trying to run their business, and they're bumping into all of these bottlenecks. So I guess we'll have to wait on more public consultation, more public feedback, and hoping that people will be a little bit more vocal and not get to the point where they're so fed up with the system. They're like, I can't deal with this anymore. And I'm going, and that in itself, you will not feel those impacts until later on. Well, some people may be rejoicing. Andrew said here that companies are downsizing. What you've actually done is locked persons into remaining with employers for 2 years, meaning they can stay with an employer for 2 years. They don't have to necessarily grow their business, but they don't have to necessarily employ anybody else either. And once the work permit is approved, let's say for 2 years, all you have to do is the next year you go and you pay the fee. Ain't no way anybody getting in there. So it's a delicate dance, to be honest. I'm just sharing with you a lot of the conversations that have been brought, and in some cases, a lot of calls that I have received in regards to what's happening. And obviously with the discussions that ensued on Sandra's show earlier this morning, you can see something needs to be done. But this is the importance of getting public discourse, public consultation, people feedback. People need to hear, and just being honest about what they're experiencing. That's the only how the system is going to be improved or get any better. Andrew is saying that stripping them, meaning cars, putting them parts into a container for Jamaica. Well, there you go. And if this is the case that these parts are actually being stripped and shipped out of here, then some serious inspections of any outbound stuff should really actually be slowed down. And this is where our CBC officers now, for anything leaving here, no matter how big or how small the load is, that should be thoroughly inspected. Andrew is saying the rollover system is being grossly abused by some companies. The rollover system is being grossly abused by some companies. Yeah. And what is happening is that some of the employees leave and they never replace the person. Some of them continue to allow them to work for their business if the type of business or work that they do can be done remotely from another country. And they actually still have them on staff. They will have them on staff as they're on rollover. And many of them go for 1 year. You don't even miss them, because once their 1 year is up, they're back. And we know how time is flying right now. Some people go on rollover and you don't even miss them because the time, boom, it's just like that. And you would think that, okay, once they're on rollover, that company would have probably explored or tried to give another local an opportunity. That's why I asked that question. Has it really worked? Has it really worked? Live Happy is weighing in this evening. I have always said it. Too many business licenses are being granted, and that's a problem. Live Happy, it's actually coming home to roost. I can understand the good measure behind it, but what is happening is that at the end of the day, it is so easy to obtain once you are Caymanian that we ain't talking about generational Caymanians now. Let's be real. And for the purpose of this, we're seeing that some of those who have gotten it, and there is no other way of getting their extended family here, that is the easiest way of getting them in. Well, I made it. I got my PR. I got my status. I'm now Caymanian, or I'm married to a Caymanian. I can now take out a trading business, and I'll bring my grandson or my son or this one, and I'll just take out the free trading business license, use the incentive thing, and we'll use that for a 6 month or 1 year. And you use that as your foundation then to feel the environment until you find yourself a better job. Or you use my work permit because, you stay there. So you're pretty much freelancing is what you're doing. And you get your odd jobs here or there. That's real. That's survival. That's what's happening. So at the end of the day, maybe you hit the nail here. This could be one of the reasons why we're having an increased amount of this. We know we've had persons who are taking out work permits, let's say as masseuse, nail tech, whatever, that has never worked a day as it in the positions. It's not hard to get that data based on some of the infringements that they have found in enforcement. But the bigger issue is here right now is that we're seeing how much years after the fact, the unintended consequences of how easy it is now to get a trade and business license. And it's now being exploited as an avenue to bring in family members to work. Once a trade and business is approved, you can get work permits on it. And then you can bring family, friends, extended family until you actually navigate the system and find solid employment. So, boy, I tell you, it's almost like you have to be steps and miles ahead. Andrew is saying, go by a certain gas station around 6:30 a.m. in the morning and you will witness what's going on. So that start back again. Hey, I'm quite sure that has now spread across the island. I remember back in the day. Yeah. So that has started back now. Oh boy. Hoping that the enforcement teams actually hear this. Live Happy is also weighing in and saying, I know some business owners who know nothing about a business, open a business, want to hire work permit holders and sit home and collect the money. That mindset has to change, and it is happening. And yet, Live Happy, those business owners are Caymanians. And I'm quite sure that they would be the ones that say the environment here is not for Caymanians, but then they're leasing out their own birthright by engaging in activities such as this. So I guess if a man have to say, every man have to eat. And if this is creating it and I got people working for me, you're actually working as a broker. And that, if you look down deeper into it, it could actually be looked at as a form of some sort of human trafficking as well. Yeah. That's how deep it could go if you really look into it, because we have seen investigations being burst, how elaborate the connections are and so forth. So I think that we're going to have to zoom in on this a little bit more. But what is enabling it? I think you're onto something, Live Happy. It's the ease of the trade and business license. Andrew is saying selling numbers and everything else, illegal activity, marriage of convenience still happens. That never stop. Marriage of convenience is not going to stop. How many right now are still in a union right now that's not happy, but you're just sticking it out because they're a nice person and during the hard times they were there. And oh, of course, if they're still giving you money, then you're going to grin and bear it. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's still happening. It's still happening. So until we realize, how can one's self-esteem be so low that you can actually stay like that? I mean, it's different if you have young children. People make decisions based on situations, and we're not painting everybody with a brush. But when you're talking about immigration reform and the government isn't doing this and the government isn't doing that, until we start making some examples out of these people who are providing false contracts for people to get work permits, who are entering into marriages that they know is not legit, who are actually doing it for gain, who are being paid to remain married, until we actually nab them and make some serious examples out of these people, it's going to continue to go. And it's almost going to make our legislation looks like a joke. But the joke is even bigger on those Caymanians who are entering in it. It makes it look bad. Look bad. And really and truly, you don't really think some of the men especially are saying, what an idiot. I don't want her, you know. I just want the flexibilities of being here. And the sad thing is, some of the women know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they don't look at it as giving away their birthright. They don't. I guess it's the ease, and we haven't made an example out of anyone. That's why it is a joke. It is a big joke with what's happening. Live Happy is saying they don't know what it means to be a sole trader, and it takes about 5 years to build a business up. They have to pay cheap. That's why they do don't hire Caymanians. Wake Up Cayman is weighing in this evening. To me, this whole immigration situations make me realize that people are just unruly. They expect the government to dance around them and form bespoke laws. They need to be human themselves. It's unrealistic to use immigration laws, blame expatriates when the enablers are those of Caymanian status and Caymanians who are allowed to open these business and front, who are marrying these foreign nationals, knowing deep down that at the end of the day, they know, not hoping he could change, but he nice. He helped me out with the bills, and boy, he take care of my son or my daughter, and not by any means degrading anybody. But you got to see yourself bigger than that. Because if the opportunity presents itself and you put yourself there to be used, you're gonna get used. You can't blame anybody else but yourself. Now, when it comes from a national perspective, where the laws are created, you cannot say that the government did not answer the call. But who is enabling some of the nefarious activities? Our very own Caymanians by taking out all of these trade and business licenses. Who's doing it? Our very own politicians did what they were supposed to do, even if it was rushed. And every other week, there's an update to this, clarifying that, You cannot say they didn't answer the call. You can't say they didn't. They did. Now, navigate around that. Andrew's saying, when you have 6 or 8 work permit holders and they pay $100 each per week to the holder of the permit, the authorities need to charging $25,000 to $50,000 and imprisonment. You got to catch them first, Andrew. You got to catch them first. Because if you think it's only outside, we don't know if the enemy is within. We don't know. We don't know. But we have a new guard at hand, a new deputy governor in charge. Let's see if maybe under a fresh set of eyes, this is not by any means criticizing our outgoing deputy governor, because looking back at the history and where he took it from, where we are today, that is his chapter. Now, a new chapter is beginning. The environment has changed. People have changed. Behaviors have changed. Everything has changed. Let's see what's on the horizon. We are at the door for a new dawn, new hope. Let's hope that collaboratively with this new DG, being responsible for the operations of some of the agencies, that we will look not only externally, but we would look at the threats within as well. Because some of the things that we're seeing happening, no one can actually dismiss the fact that there is a big possibility that there is also inside assistance. Yes. What is happening? You hear people speaking about it loosely on the ground. You hear it. People are speaking about it loosely with no intent to harm who's assisting them on the inside. But that is how comfortable they are to say, you can do all you want. I got my inside connect. Now that needs to stop. Yeah. So the only how it stops, and that's if you nab them. Well, as I said, we're going into the long weekend. And for those of you who are celebrating and you're more focusing on the 4th of July fireworks and you're doing all of that, more looking at what's happening in the US, let me share some important information with you because you may not have known exactly where it is derived. At the end of the day, every year, the first, and I'm talking about the Constitution holiday that we're going to be celebrating on Monday. You're not going to see any parades out in town. You're not going to see anything like that. Yes, there are going to be fireworks at Kamana Bay and whatever else. People are going off. People are probably going to just be meeting up with family. But what is Constitution Day? Let me just share some tidbits with you. That holiday is celebrated here every year, the first Monday of July. And for ease, I did actually get this into layman's terms just for the purpose of just fast delivery, right? And what it is a national public holiday here. And while many people enjoy this long weekend, looking more for the day off than anything, especially if you're a Monday to Friday person, not everyone knows why this day matters so much. Mr. Balika kind of explained it. Our Attorney General, in his message, actually said the importance of it. But do you really understand the history behind it? Let me share a little bit with you. Now, this marks the moment, Constitution Day marks the moment that Cayman took a major step towards shaping our very own future. And the moment we received our first written constitution was back in 1959. Yes. And to understand this whole Constitution Day, we need to look at Cayman's early history. And for centuries, what we have found is that Cayman was uninhabited until it was sighted by Christopher Columbus in 1503. And then later, the islands, which we're knowing right now that has changed because people were already here. Las Tortugas, everybody knows what's already there. We're gonna be breaking it down more and more as the Ministry of Culture, Heritage, and Youth and Heritage do their bits, right? But what we saw where the Constitution is concerned is that later the islands were formally ceded to Britain in 1670. So for most of that time, Cayman was run as a dependency of Jamaica, meaning Jamaica handled our administration. And Caymanians had very little say in how things were ran. What we can have in history backdating itself is that life was very simple, it was isolated, and it was heavily community driven. And what we notice, even in pictures to this day, that Caymanians relied on each other, seafaring, fishing, building, and even, a tight-knit society. That's who we are. That's what we were about. But politically, we didn't have a formal system back in those days because decisions were made through informal local meetings, vestrymen and the magistrates back in the day. And what it did is that it worked for a little bit, but as we see right now that we're seeing playing out before our eyes, as Cayman continued to grow, people were demanding for clearer rules and even more controls of our own internal affairs, right? So, as history has it, by 1950s, Caymanians were then asking for something important. And what we're talking about is a constitution. And that document is a written document that clearly outlines how we are governed, right? And back in 1959, that is the heart, the beat where our Constitution was derived. That's the heart of Constitution Day. And we see where that was where we received our first written one. We officially stopped being dependency on Jamaica at that time. And we got our first legislative assembly. The old vestry system was replaced then by elected body of representatives, and Caymanians could now choose people that they wanted to speak for them and make their laws, not totally dependent on Jamaica. And then we saw where universal adult suffrage was also introduced, that was including women having the right to vote. And we saw, the 1959 Constitution finally recognize their right to vote, our right to vote as women. And this transformed Cayman's political landscape to forever. Now let's pushing it back, how it evolved. From 1959, which was the beginning, we continued. And there are key milestones, as Mr. Balika alluded to earlier on, that goes back to 1972 Constitution that was even bolstered even more from the 1959, because in that amendment, it strengthened local government and clarified the roles. Then in 1994, the amendments introduced the first version of the Bill of Rights and renamed the Executive Council members as ministers. And then we see where the 2003 reform of the Constitution created the roles of leader of government business and leader of the opposition. And in that time, they renamed the Executive Council, that's what cabinet was, as the cabinet. So before it took on the name cabinet, it was called the Executive Council. And that happened in 2003. Now we step forward to 2009, which I'll stop because time does not permit, was when we got the constitutional order that I alluded to earlier, where we got the Bill of Rights, a full Bill of Rights, the Constitutional Commission, the Human Rights Commission, the National Security Council, more autonomizing our elected leaders, modern framework for good governance as well. So at the end of the day, this document in itself, especially the Bill of Rights, is in place, which is where Mr. Blika is coming from and the situation that he's describing for Sandra. This very same constitution is there and in place. The Bill of Rights protects your freedom of speech. It also gives you the right of privacy, your right to a fair trial, your right to practice your own religion, and even more. And these rights, based on the Constitution, cannot be taken away without strong legal justification. Hence, Mr. Blika is fighting the system. And this is what I'm saying. Unless we understand where we're coming from and understand the importance of this document, understanding what this day means, you can't really respect it. Then you're taking on it as just another day off, more looking at what's happening in the US than really the importance of our Constitution here in the Cayman Islands. So at the end of the day, this is, in a nutshell, what it is for us. And you cannot respect the day unless you understand where we're coming from. We have reached the end of Sabrina Speaks here for this weekend, yes. And I'm hoping that you would have taken away a lot because it is Free Flow Friday. You would have understood from Mr. Blika's perspective. You would understand what I shared. I hope you understand some of the conversation as we dealt with the advertisement. We've given you an update on the fraudulent thing with the fake text that is in circulation and highlighting what's most important for Monday's holiday, that you will respect it, you will understand it, and not embrace an American tradition when we have our own Constitution Day. Maybe we need to do something on this day from a national perspective, more than just a message. We're at a crossroads here in the Cayman Islands. And if we want to keep who we are alive and definitely be proud of what we've accomplished, maybe we need to put some attention on this. It has been my pleasure bringing you another episode of Sabrina Speaks. I want to thank you all for my calls, some text, definitely all of the images and your comments, because without you, what's the sense? And I see where Cape Verde has won the game and other games are about to start. Thank you, Connie, for keeping us up to date with what's happening. And Andrew is weighing in as I take the last two comments here. If that is the case, then the guilty party should be dealt with severely, meaning internal threats, Andrew. Let's see. It's only a matter of time. Miss Dorothy has joined us late, or you're commenting late, but it's good to have you. And I know you're in the United States. Happy 4th of July. And yeah, it is what it is. Andrew, have a blessed weekend to you as well. And to everyone, please be safe on the roads. Please be responsible and understand what Constitution Day is really for us here in the Cayman Islands. And if you didn't know, now you know. Good night. Stay safe. God bless. Love you lots. And I mean that. Until Tuesday, have a safe weekend and happy Constitution Day.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.